Looks like it's Gojover. So for the past couple of months, Gojo the GOAT has been fighting Sakuna, and it has been a mixture of highs and lows. A mixture of hype panels and fun action to watch, then ass pulls and overly complicated power systems. But unfortunately, with this week's chapter of JJK chapter 236, the strongest jujutsu sorcerer in history has been defeated. And this fight has basically lived up to the strongest two sorcerers in history duking it out between each other. And there's been a lot of amazing panels with Gojo using everything he has to try to one-up Sakuna. And the close combat of this fight has been insane. It reminds me of peak Naruto hand-to-hand combat. I really love it. And Gojo utilizing every curse technique he has: curse reversal, curse red, curse blue, and then when he dropped the infinite void, the infinite purple, that was incredible. And how he got that to hit off and how he got caught up in the blast was amazing. But then this also brought out a lot of concerns I've had for cursed energy in this series, as it reminds me a lot of Nen, where it basically can do everything and nothing all at the same time. And just the amount of text that I've had to read trying to understand this power system has been kind of annoying. And before you guys go like, oh, like you just don't understand the power system and you go back and read it, like I've read a lot of manga in my day, and for a good power system, I feel like simplicity and being able to understand what is going on is very important for any manga. And you can have a good power system, but also keeping it simple for the readers. If the reader has to go back and reread and try to understand how these characters got to this conclusion, I feel like the power system there might be a little overly complicated. For example, with Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 228, the first part of this chapter is all the characters trying to figure out what is going on with Gojo and this little sphere that's the size of a basketball. They're talking about what barriers they're using and what does this mean when the domain is activated at the same time. And honestly, all of this stuff is a little too much going over my head. There's a lot to think about, and the chapters before this were also kind of going very in depth into the power scaling and the power systems of this arc. And honestly, after I read this chapter, and now we're, 5-6 chapters away from this, I gotta go back and reread this just to understand what the heck is going on, because none of this is sticking in my little peon monkey-sized brain. And, that's not a bad thing. I get that GEGE, the author, wants to make a really cool and robust, complicated power system, but at the same time, there's a limit where just as a reader, you get overwhelmed trying to keep up with what these characters are doing and what they're capable of. So that, to me, kind of took away a little bit from this fight. I still thoroughly enjoyed watching Sakuna versus Gojo, but trying to understand the complicated power system really just kind of brought me away from the total enjoyment of this fight. I did think it was cool, however, that Gojo and Sakuna were battling out with domains and they just kept activating their domain expansion, and whoever got it out first was able to get in like 1 or 2 licks before they both canceled each other out, because they're both strong when it comes to opening domains. So that part was cool, but whenever they couldn't open domains anymore because they brought in that the domains bring up like what your frontal cortex of your brain, or the frontal lobe, is what activates domains, and if you use it too much you start bleeding out. I thought it was kind of a far stretch, but at the same time it definitely does make sense if you are using domain expansion multiple times. But I will say the most unforgivable part of this fight was in chapter 236 with Mahagura. That monster is so dumb. He has this little wheel that literally can adapt to anything. And first of all, this curse technique is honestly so broken because no one's been able to tame him. Mahagura has just been this untamable beast for centuries, and it's just already so overpowered in terms of physical endurance, attack potency, and then now he has the ability to adapt to anything is just beyond ridiculous. Like, I don't even like that's even a concept. And then Sakuna could just grab the wheel, put it on his head, and then start adapting to Gojo's technique. All he had to do was just survive. And first of all, Sakuna has insane healing factors. Mahagura has insane healing factors. And just being able to survive against Gojo with no domain expansion, I mean, it's not really that hard of a task. And then Sakuna brought out another demon. So it was literally 3v1 against Gojo. So this was beyond just stupid. And then Mahagura at the end was finally able to adapt to Gojo after Purple came out. Purple should have sealed the deal. Gojo should have won. And then Mahagura is just like, no, let me read to you exactly what this chapter said. So for Mahagura's attack that killed Gojo Sensei, this is what it said. It wasn't sending slashes flying as I do. It was expanding the technique's target. Its intended target wasn't just you, Gojo Satoru, but space, the entire world, existence itself. It targeted everything before it unleashed those slashes. Your infinity meant nothing as long as it existed within the space, that world, it would all be torn apart. What the heck does that mean? That literally means that if you exist, you are going to get cut. Nothing you do, if you're existing, if you're a human, if you have perception, you will get cut and nothing you do can stop it. That is so stupid. Like, Gojo literally has infinity. He can control the spaces between people and himself. But he couldn't control the space because he exists as a person. And what's worst of all is that Gojo was an off-screen death. We didn't get to see him get slashed, or we didn't get to see Magura come back and slash him. I am so heated. But at the same time, you know, I believe in Genji. He is making a crazy story. So if Gojo had to die for the sake of the story, that's good. And then also, I will say that most mangaka are so scared to kill off any characters, just because killing off a character and like getting rid of them, especially a prominent character, is not something we see in typical shonens. But I will give it to Geji because he kills everyone. JJK, everyone dies, and it's honestly great for story writing and for story progression. But the thing about Gojo is he can come back if he hasn't got hit in the head with cursed energy. And when we look at that torso, his head looks fine. So he could do curse reversal, but that would be really dumb if he came back, because then that would literally make this whole chapter and this whole arc non-existent and not important. But for Gojo to lose like this, I have mixed feelings. To be honest, I think he should have beat Sakuna. And I just think Mahagura is just bullshit, and this whole dimension slicing cut was just so dumb and out of left field. But I guess it's Gojover. Like, it's just done. We're done. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm gonna be waiting outside of Genji's house until he comes out. I'm gonna be ready for the smoke. And all of Twitter and all of TikTok has been erupting talking about this fight. So I really want to know what you guys think in the comments below. But in my opinion, I think it was mainly like an ass pull, or it didn't make sense how Gojo lost. But let me know what you guys thought about it in the comments below. And thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you later. Peace.